All right, so let's continue with our discussion here in studio. Opio, I'd like to start with you. NASA seems to have quite a number of strategies. You know, the People's Assembly seem to be one of it. Of course, there's the resistance movement, the economic boycott, and that climax that we're waiting for, according to Norman Magaya. Are all these things leading to anything really right now?
I like your question. Anything really? You know, as we have said time and again before, our plan of action is not hinged on anything Jubilee is doing or anything happening in the courts or anything anybody else is saying out there. Our plans are intact. And since the launch of the resistance movement, we have come out with a very clear roadmap as to what we intend to do to eventually ensure that democracy is protected in this country. That is the most important thing. And it is not going to be a one-day or one-week thing. It's a long, we are in this for the long haul. That must also be clearly understood. So when you talk about the People's Assemblies, we are on course. By today, about 9 counties' assemblies have passed the motion establishing the People's Assemblies. Many more will be doing so in the course of this week and next week. As we speak, our campaign for the boycott of products or services of specific companies is on course. We shall be giving update to the country in due course. And as we speak, we are, of course, carrying out our other activities in line with the resistance spirit. So let no one be deceived that we have got no game plan. We are very clear in our minds as to what we are doing and where eventually we intend to end this process. Okay?
Shouldn't all these things be anchored in some sort of framework law?
You know, we have said again to the people that the constitution that we keep on talking about, the 2010 constitution that Kenyans fought for so long to attain, gives the people the sovereign power. And that sovereign power, that same constitution, decrees that it can be exercised either directly or through delegation. Now, in constituting the People's Assemblies and in carrying out some of the actions we intend to carry out, beginning now and going forward, the people of Kenya will be exercising their sovereign power directly. And that is very constitutional, and therefore it is hinged on the Constitution. It is on a very serious legal framework.
All right.
Yeah.
Honorable Kositani, your thoughts on the strategies that NASA has put forward and the fact that they, one of the options they say they still have is swearing in Raila Odinga.
Betty, NASA or NRM, whatever, they've actually transformed into so many things after the August elections that we really don't know what they are now. But what I would like to say is they're becoming a big joke. They're becoming a big joke, a bunch of desperate people led by a very desperate and hungry man for power called Raila Odinga, who will stop at nothing. He doesn't care how many people die. He doesn't care how many properties are destroyed. He doesn't care how the common mwananchi will suffer, how the economy of this country will suffer, but he is prepared to try whatever it is for him to get to power. Remember, this is somebody we are dealing with who has only managed to get into power or into government because of violence, because of propagating violence and because of branding Kenyans tribalists, or rather trying to secure one part of the country against a certain particular tribe. And that is one thing that he's a master of. But I would like to say that whatever they're trying to propose, one, that they're going to swear in Raila, that will not happen. Not in Kenya, not where there is a legitimately elected government. Let them try it elsewhere, but it is not going to happen. Even if they try and do it in Siaya or Bondo or wherever, it will not happen. Take it from me. That will not happen. Number two is this issue of the People's Assembly. It's just a joke. We've had a ruling in court yesterday that really discussed, that nullified that formation of the People's Assembly. But I'm personally preparing, my lawyers are preparing to go to court because we want any county that has passed or rather adopted that People's Assembly for lack of a better word, nonsense. We are going to go to court. We're going to ask that their salaries be stopped. because they then have got their own company, their own government. Let them be paid by that people's assembly. Let their salaries be stopped until they recognize the government of President Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto as a legitimate government. And let me say this, Betty, as I said earlier, politics is over. The time for politics is a period when we can do politics is because we are campaigning for particular seats. Honorable Owino here is an elected member of parliament by the same IEBC. I am an elected member of parliament, but an election that was run by the same IEBC. They have governors, they have MCAs, who they all respect, and they have taken over their offices. They are running their constitutional mandate to represent the people. But then they just have a problem at the top because one person, Raila Odinga, did not become president.
Let me help my friend here, and also to advise him to stop being preoccupied so much with one Raila Amolo Odinga.
Well, that is the enemy of Kenya.
And secondly, I also wanted to assure him that he should not be bothered so much about what is likely to happen when we decide to do what we want to do. Because firstly, he doesn't speak for Jubilee. He has got to know you're a very small person in Jubilee. But more importantly, if and when we choose to do what we shall do, Kenyans will see for themselves. And again, if you want to see how desperate these fellas are, on the one hand, they say whatever we're doing is childish, a joke. On the other hand, they are scared stiff, running to court to seek injunctions to stop the establishment of the people's assemblies. So it really points a picture, or paints a picture of a grouping that is definitely lost and is looking for survival. But the most important thing, Betty, is that the country is in a crisis of monumental proportions. Anyone who doesn't see that crisis is definitely living in a different world. And we have said that the crisis in which we find ourselves is so serious that it now calls upon the people themselves to exercise their sovereign power under the Constitution to try and redress it. That is exactly what we intend to do, and we have got no apologies for doing so, because it is what is expected of us as Democrats and as patriots, yes.
All right, we'll come back to the discussion, but I just want us to see some pictures coming to us from Kasarani. That is really the preparations are ongoing there for next week's swearing-in ceremony. Remember that the committee has said that there's going to be about 100,000 guests who will be attending the swearing-in ceremony. So we'll keep you updated on that. But coming back to you, Honorable Wandai, yes. I mean, with the swearing-in, is it political rhetoric that Raila Odinga will be sworn in, or is it something that is actually going to... And how will it happen? Because it's not
Betty,
in the Constitution.
Betty, I will not definitely discuss in details the matter of swearing in of Raila Amolo Odinga. That will be, of course, engaging you in discussing our strategies, yes, which is not appropriate. But the most important thing is not even that issue of swearing in. What is critical is that the country finds itself in a serious crisis.
All right.
And we are looking for ways to resolve this crisis. You know, Betty, the other day, that was on Sunday morning, when about 10 Kenyans were massacred in Ruaraka constituency, in a place called Babadogo.
The number we have is about 4 or 5.
Yeah. You can have 4, 5, 20, 50, 60. It doesn't really matter. Yeah. But what is important is that about 10 Kenyans were murdered in cold blood by people wearing uniforms that look like police uniforms. Then the person in charge of the police in the county of Nairobi, is one Comey, comes out from the blues and says that this is an ordinary criminal act. I don't know what ordinary criminal act means. That's a certain criminal acts are not ordinary. That this is an ordinary criminal act. It has got nothing to do with ethnic animosity. In fact, we have launched investigations. But on the same breath, he says that it's also possible that this is a result of people failing to pay rent. Trying to trivialize a very serious matter, a matter concerning the killing of innocent Kenyans going about their businesses. And then you expect us to sit back and clap for you. It can never happen.
All right.
Yes, because you think you hold the instruments of state, the instruments of power, that you are in control of the country. Yet you are very much aware that even in the so-called elections of the 26th of October, close to 3/4 of the country refused to turn up to vote for you.
All right.
Yes, on account of our position as a coalition, yeah.
All right, I want to come to you, Honorable Kositani, and there have been questions, about the difficult journey ahead for Uhuru Kenyatta, even as he's sworn in next Tuesday, about bringing this country together. First of all, do you believe that we have a divided nation right now?
Well, let me start by correcting Opio here, that he has mentioned that I'm a very small man in Jubilee. Small or big, I am in Jubilee. I speak for my party, and I, for the record, I'm the Deputy Secretary General of Jubilee Party. So whether that is your definition of a small, but really that is not the reason. We have a divided country. That there is no doubt, and divisions are always caused when there is political competition, which is enshrined in our constitution. But any normal person, any God-fearing Kenyan, anybody who has the good of Kenya at his heart, will know that in a contest, there has to be a winner, there has to be a loser. And once you lose, there are so many people who lost elections. So many. I was running against 17 people. We were 17 of us running, so I was running against 16 people. They lost in the nomination. And then I went for an election against one person. He lost in the nomination. But life is moving on. What is wrong with this one person? One person who has lost elections, I think 5 times Raila has been a candidate since 1997, and he's lost in every election, but has never accepted that he has lost. He's always said, it was stolen, it was stolen. Honestly, even if you have your cows and you're herding them na kila siku inaibua, then the person mwenye amekupea uchunge ng'ombe will think you're a bogus herdsman, because every time his cows are being stolen. So really, let us now cool down the political temperatures. And you can get from the tone of Honorable Opio here, they are desperate. They are really desperate to cause chaos. They've been trying to get that kind of reaction from us in Jubilee so that we go with them on that path. We are not going on that path of violence. We are now busy swearing in of the president next Tuesday, and from the 29th Wednesday, we start building the nation. We start the recovery of the roads they've destroyed. We start trying to help the people whose businesses have been destroyed. We want to help those poor people. I saw yesterday the owner of the matatu that was burned down. He said, this is what my kids have been living on. We are going, as Jubilee members of parliament, we are going to contribute some money. We're going to buy him a matatu. We're going to help those who lost, because they lost on account of not because they had done anything wrong, just because they are Jubilee supporters, and not even they are Jubilee supporters, just because he was a Kikuyu, he was found with a matatu, they said, Choma, huyu ni wa Jubilee. We really don't want that ethnic profiling. Let us call on NASA. I know they hear us, but they will not do it because they have this culture of violence. Yesterday, Betty, we had a demonstration. But sometimes
the violence, honestly speaking, even going by what happened on Friday, sometimes the violence, comes also from the police. We saw police officers pelting, motorists in the CBD. How do you explain that?
Let me tell you something. Here are the police. The weapons they have is tear gas and the gun. If the police shoot to protect the wananchi who are being harmed, nobody covers what triggered the police to shoot somebody.
But it's not all the time that they're shooting criminals. But
let me finish. Nobody ever covers the reason why a policeman decided to shoot. They only cover the victim. But what was the victim up to? What was the victim up to? Burning a police vehicle. What do you gain from burning a police vehicle? Burning a matatu. We even have an issue that there were 2 disabled people who were in one matatu that was burned. But that story doesn't seem to bother anybody. But what bothers anybody is the police seen pelting other vehicles. If the 190 were pelting, what I know is the police were not stoning the vehicles. They were actually the photograph showed the police stoning a vehicle, but the vehicle was passing, and there were people who were stoning the police from behind the other side of the vehicle, and the police cannot shoot them. So if you have your weapon as a stone, which you have accepted as a means of peaceful demonstration, then let the police use it also.
If you continue listening to my friend here, you get more and more confused. Let me tell you, Betty, and that's why it's important for us to be informed properly before we pronounce ourselves on matters which are as serious as this one. You know very well the genesis of the latest violence in Nairobi is that when it was announced clearly that President Raila Amolo Odinga, because he's our president, I'm calling him so, was destined to travel back from the US on Friday 17th, via JKI, of course. We told the police very, very clearly, as is required by the law, that we shall be organizing a delegation to go and receive our party leader and president from the airport and do a procession along specific streets or roads in Nairobi culminating in the public rally at Uhuru Park, perfectly within the law. And we sent an advance delegation on Thursday to go and find out the situation, to go and do a reconnaissance of the routing from the airport. What happened? Even that advance team couldn't be allowed access to the airport, including the media. And the media was very careful, because you saw the other day, on Friday, when the demonstrations were now happening and the police were using all manner of crude weapons to kill Kenyans who were welcoming Raila Odinga, the Communications Authority, headed by one Wangusi, who has decided to do political bidding for Jubilee, thinking that Jubilee will be in power forever. The Communications Authority, which is an institution financed by taxpayers' money, goes ahead and writes to media houses, compelling them to stop airing live transmissions of the events happening on the roads in Nairobi. I'm happy the media ignored the directive, but that's a story for another day. So what I'm saying is, when eventually President Raila Amolo Odinga did arrive on Friday, and we were there to receive him at the airport, and despite the police saying that they wouldn't allow us to walk into Nairobi, we said we are exercising our democratic right.
Right.
We had informed them. Their duty was to protect us. They have got no power to outlaw or authorize a procession. Theirs is to protect Kenyans.
Right.
So we did the walking. And it is the police that actually disrupted our peaceful procession, right from Mombasa Road, not even Jogo Road, right from Mombasa Road.
All right.
And therefore, if we continue to propagate this false narrative that it is Kenyans who provoke the police, that it is Kenyans who behave violently, giving rise to the police actions, then we are going to create even more problems for the country.
All right.
And therefore, Betty, the issues we have are not issues which should be trivialized. They are grave issues. And I am happy. I'm seeing my friend here, just stamping that they are going to swear in Uhuru on Tuesday, and then they start building the nation. Please go ahead.
We'll build as you destroy, we will build.
Go ahead and swear in your Uhuru and start building your nation.
All right.
And then we see how it will end.
All right, we have to wrap up, but I want to hear your thoughts, Honorable Wandai, about what does really NASA want, and how do you then move this country forward?
NASA wants to restore democracy. And the first thing we want to ensure that is restored is electoral justice. To bring into place a situation where Kenyans can go vote with the hope and the knowledge that their vote will count. That is what NASA wants, first and foremost.
Right. They
Yes.
want an election in 90 days, but that's not anchored in any kind of law.
I have told you that this law was made for man. It is not the other way around. And
So
that
how
same
will
law
you
has given
instigate
us
an
the
election?
mandate, has given us the mandate as Kenyans to exercise our sovereign power directly. We have now chosen to do so. And therefore, we are going to engage Kenyans in dialogue through the people's assemblies very soon. And those assemblies are going to make resolutions which will culminate in a national people's assembly, which will eventually make resolutions. Depending on what resolutions are made, Kenyans are going to take the next step forward with a view to reclaiming our democracy and ensuring that don't give room to reactionary forces to take us back to where we have come.
All right.
Yes.
Your final thoughts?
Well, I think, Betty, listening to Honorable Wandai is very shocking and very disturbing that you have such a person with grave responsibility of representing the people of Ugunja, and he's trivializing the constitution of this country. We, as I've said before, and we in Jubilee believe, the days of political competition came to an end after the Supreme Court ruling yesterday. What is next now is nation building. Anybody else with any other issue, bordering on elections and everything, can come to Parliament, can go to the Senate, and air their views there, and we in Jubilee, we are ready for any change in the Constitution or amendment that is going to benefit all of us as Kenyans. Remember, we have a very, very understanding and humble president, and we really, hats off to President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy, because they have gone through a lot. They won on the 26th of August. Their victory was annulled because of technicalities. They won on the 8th of August and won on the 26th. And they have been patient. And we have a president who is really very understanding. And you can see from the more index that our country has improved in terms of doing business and everything. We have a beautiful country. Let us not ban it because of one individual, Raila Odinga, who is so desperate for power.
All right.
We know, I have spoken to NASA members of parliament when we were in parliament, and they're also tired about Raila. They just don't know how to get out of it, but they have to, you know, play the games that he wants. Because if he doesn't go to the demonstrations, he will not be re-elected next time. Raila will just veto and he will not be re-elected. So let us build the nation and move Kenya forward.
That can't go until later.
Yes,
and move Kenya
very
forward.
briefly.
You know, my friend has only been elected once. I have been elected now twice. I know better how to get elected. I can teach him a few lessons on that. Betty, I want also to conclude by cautioning the media and advising the media that be very careful. Because this freedom that we enjoy even currently in the media was fought for by Kenyans on the streets, not even in parliament. And therefore, you must see us as your partners. We in the NRM. We are the ones who are going to ensure that...
I think you people were attacked at a NASA function, weren't you? Media was attacked at a NASA function. I don't see how that's partnership.
We have to wrap up. Thank you very much, gentlemen. All these issues, we'll continue to talk about them here on KTN News. Thank you very much for your time. Honorable Caleb Kositani, the Member of Parliament for Soy constituency, and Honorable Opio Andai, the Honorable Member for Gunja constituency. Thank you for your time, gentlemen. All right.